Hi everyone, this is Mr. Richmond, and for this video I'm going to walk you through how to do the first couple examples of your Ohm's Law assignment. So if you recall from class, we have a couple different ways that we can look at Ohm's Law in terms of the formula. You might recognize it as V for volts is equal to I for current times R for resistance. Or you might see it if we were to try to get one of these two variables by itself, because right now we can solve easily for voltage. But let's say that we need to calculate for resistance like we do for the first one. We want to make sure that we can divide current by both sides. And I'm left with V over I is equal to R, because this is going to cancel out. And then finally, the last combination that you might see, if we were to get current or I by itself, I'd want to divide R by both sides. So I would be left with V divided by R is equal to I for current. So those are really the three ways. V over I is equal to R, V over R is equal to I, and then finally you got V, just like we initially did. V for volts, voltage, I for current, I, and then resistance. Okay, so let's work on number one. You've got an alarm clock that draws 0.5 amps, so this capital A should be a giveaway that we are working with current. You should know that amps is our unit of measurement for current. It's connected to a 120 volt circuit, which is typical in a household circuit, at least in the United States, and we want to calculate its resistance. So I want to get R, my unknown variable, by itself, and it looks like this formula is going to be our best bet. V over I is equal to R. If you're not too comfortable rearranging these formulas, you can rely on the Ohm's Law triangle, which is very similar. You just want to make sure that you remember that V volts is up top, then I and R are down below here. It doesn't really matter if I or R on the left or the right. You just need to remember that V is up top. So if you're using the triangle, you need to identify what unit of measurement are you trying to solve for. So in this case, we're going to solve for resistance. And I'm going to cover up resistance. I'm left with V over I is equal to R. So if that's something that you're more comfortable with, feel free to use that strategy. So I've got 120 volts, 120. Please excuse my penmanship. Divided by 0.5. And I believe that's going to give me 240. I'm not done yet because I want to make sure that I am labeling my units for resistance, and our units of measurement is ohms or this little omega sign. All right, let's do another one. Let's do something like number 4. You've got a 1.5 volt battery, and we've got 3 ohms of resistance, and we want to calculate its current. So I want current by itself now. So that's going to be V over R is equal to I. So now I have 1.5 volts divided by my resistance of 3. And that should be 2 amps. Capital A, amps is my unit of measurement for current. The only one that we didn't do was solving for voltage, which you just want to multiply current times resistance. And it's easy to remember what is your unit of measurement for voltage because it's just volts. And let's move on to the second half of your assignment, which looks like this. And you're going to be graphing this data to see a trend in the relationship between voltage and current. So if current is on my x-axis, voltage is on my y, you're going to go ahead and plot all these points like a scatter plot. So I'll do the first couple for you. You got 0.65 for volts, so it's going to be pretty low voltage. Over to 0.12, I'm going to kind of guesstimate. It looks like that first coordinate might be, let me make sure I'm using my pen, might be right around here. Second coordinate might be, let's see, we got 1.41 for volts, 0.29 for current, so 1.4 to 0.29, so maybe around here. And then you kind of just keep doing that pattern, and you might see kind of a nice linear pattern start to emerge for our relationship between voltage and current. But you want to make sure that you plot all those points. And the last thing that you're going to see on this assignment that looks a little bit different is just a simple circuit here. And you will be given the same variables that we worked on for this first section of the assignment. So I've got voltage, 12 volts. I've got resistance, 10 ohms here. I need to solve for current. So if you recall our formula, V equals I times R. I do have voltage right here. I do have resistance right here. I need to get current by itself. I can do that by dividing R by both sides. So V divided by R. In other words, that's going to be 12 divided by 10, which I think is 1.2 amps. And let's do one more. Let's do number 15 here. I've got a resistance of 10 ohms, a current of 5 amps. I need to solve for voltage. That one's pretty straightforward because we have our formula V equals I times R. Yes, I do have current, which is 5. I've got I. I've got a resistance of 10 ohms. So 10 times 5 gets me my voltage, which is 50. Don't forget to label your units, capital V for volts. I hope you found this video helpful, and good luck with the rest of your assignment.